Welcome back to the Build series. I'm your host, Jana Jefferson. Coming from the land that birthed acts like Too Short and G-Eazy, Berkeley, California rapper Rexx Life Raj creates tracks that are not only pleasing to the ears, but stimulate the heart and mind. With praise from artists such as Pharrell and Bay Area legend E40, Raj's new album, Father Figure 3, Something Out There, dropped today. And on November 11th, he's kicking off his multi-city Somewhere Out There tour up in Boston. He's steadily rising as a force and voice to be reckoned with, and he's garnered over 100 million plays across all platforms to date. And we're really excited to have him here today.
How you guys doing?
I like that music video.
Thank you so much.
Was that you dancing, doing all that at the end?
No, that was actually Kenny Beats.
Oh.
I was wishing I hope some of his like dancing rubs off on me, but that was all Kenny.
Kenny Beats is out here being like the MVP of the music industry. He is doing so much.
He's for sure MVP.
He's doing
He has the personality of an MVP too. He's a great guy.
He's awesome. So
and he makes wonderful music. Hey Kenny, if you're looking, which you're probably not because you're making great music, I'm saying hi.
So listening to your project, which came out today, I feel like a running theme of it is staying true to yourself, going against the grain, being, your own person. And I think the track that amplifies that the most is Overrated. It's called Overrated. So how did you get to this point in your own life? How did you get to this realization that this was something that was paramount to you?
With the album or just
in life with the album, staying true to yourself?
I don't know. I think it's just an accumulation of a lot of things that I've learned in my life, and just seeing like the artists who I've gotten inspiration from and who I aspire to be like are artists who are just genuine in themselves and they last and people connect with them because it's real. So that's where I get it from. Father
Figure 3, the series. Clearly, it's the third one. I feel like it serves to teach the listener something by looking into themselves, looking at the world around them, looking at the people around them, and obviously you're learning a lot about yourself too. So what were some of the elements you had to weather in order to get you into the space that you're in for this particular album?
That's a good question. I think it's just like, I think being an artist, what's crazy is that there are so many influences around you and pressures around you to make you be a certain way, make you look a certain way, whether it be like making your music sound commercially a certain way or wearing certain clothes that appeal to certain people or whatever. But I think it's just understanding that it's okay to be yourself. And if being yourself means not being the biggest person in the world, well, you're just not going to be the biggest person in the world, but there's somebody who you'll connect to. And that's my biggest metric of success is like how many people resonate with my music, how many people it helps get through whatever they're getting through. So that's kind of how I gauge it.
Awesome. So let's talk about some of the songs on the album. The first song on the album is called The Fog, and it has some pleasant touches of, blackness, which,
Come on with it.
Round it up. You have had quite the loaded upbringing. You grew up around the church. Your mother was a musician. Your father was affiliated with the Black Panthers. So how did this upbringing shape your perspective and your understanding of your blackness, and how do you translate that into your actual work?
I think early my pops just made me very aware of who I am in this world and how I'm viewed in this world. And my pops was very straightforward. He never bit his tongue about anything. So I think that just translates to me in my outlook on the world and my music. And my music is so self-reflective. Like, I'm not doing music about too much like material stuff. Like, I do songs that could be borderline commercial, but if you really listen to what I'm saying, it's all self-reflective, it's all introspective, and those values that he put in me just come out in the music. Same with my mom, the musicality of it. Like, sometimes I hear myself, and when I write, it's like I don't have a process going into it. Like, it's not thought out. It's kind of what happens in the moment, and I feel myself talking about a lot of blessings and about being appreciative and all that stuff, and that's my mom coming out of me because she has those strong Christian values. So it's just like, it's crazy how a combination of both of them is what makes me.
Do you fancy yourself a singer? Do you think you're a pretty good singer?
Not in real life. Like if you told me to sing right now, I'd be like, no, I'm probably not gonna sing right now. But I'm assisted, you know what I'm saying? There are things like auto-tune that help me sound a little better, Melodyne helps me sound a little good. But it's real because I'm a realist and I come from a family of real singers. I should say actually singers with an A. They can sing. You know what I'm saying? So like stand up on the stage and like sing right now in belts, like they could really sing.
From the guts.
Yeah, I think what I've done is kind of like found my personal space where it's not like I'm the best singer in the world, but I kind of found my lane and I don't really try to deviate from it too much. I do what I could do.
Awesome. So my personal favorite song on the album is called Burgundy, Regal. And from my understanding, it was inspired by two really important people in your life. Who were they, and how have they inspired you to become the man you are today?
So the first verse is about one of my best friends, Ronnie. He's doing, he's locked down right now. He's doing a bunch of time. So it's crazy. So like the hook is like, back when we was young, people with big hearts and big dreams, way before any of this happened, we called all of these things. Back when that regal was burgundy, we had our eyes on that green. You know, so it's just about like, because everything, and it's like, when I really think about it, it's like, it makes me emotional because everything that's happening to me right now, we used to talk about every day. You know what I'm saying? Like we would get this, I had a burgundy regal in high school, and we would get done and we would do football practice and all that stuff, and then we would drive down to the Berkeley Marina and we would freestyle and rap and dance, and we would like say, bruh, we finna be on, bro. And you know what I'm saying? Like when it's our time, we finna be on. And you know, situations happen where he's down, he's in jail right now. And the other dude, the other guy I was talking about was one of my best friends named Devin, and he got killed my freshman year in college.
Sorry.
No, it's all good, you know. So it's just like, and those two stories are so connected to me that usually, like, if you know my music, if I'm talking about one, I'm talking about the other, because without Devin, I wouldn't know Ronnie. Without Ronnie, there's no Devin, and they're both connected. So that's what that song is about.
And another really important part of that song is the beginning. It features a voiceover from the late, great Nipsey Hussle. And he's talking about knowing yourself,
Right.
being aware of who you are so you can build, so you can create. Obviously, being a California native, I know that wasn't a mistake to put him in there.
Right.
So as a musician and as a community leader, how has he inspired you?
Nipsey has inspired me in so many ways, from just being a business owner in terms of like running your own business, being a young black man trying to run your own business and knowing how you'll be perceived in certain rooms and how you'll be handled and how people will try to treat you. But to me, it's like, when I look at Nipsey, like, it's really big for me to give back. And I feel like a lot of people do give back, which is clean. Like, they make a lot of money and they give money to the community, which is one thing. But I feel like it's deeper when you empower the community. Mm-hmm. You know, when you put people in positions to make businesses, when you put people in positions to be employed, when you put people in positions to do things that aren't just like, here's a lump sum of money. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So I think the biggest thing that I got from Nipsey was learning how to empower people, put people in positions to grow their own business, put people in positions to chase their own passions, where it's bigger than me just giving you money. Mm-hmm. It's something sustainable for the long run for you. So that's what I got from Nipsey.
Is there anything that you're working on in order to give back to the community?
Yeah, so we just did a series. I started a series, and we did it about 4 months ago. It's called Good and Proper. And every series, every event we do, all the money raised goes to like a local charity, you know, and we're doing it, or not, it's not even necessarily a charity, but the money we raised this time went to a program in Oakland called Youth Radio, where they bring kids in and they teach kids how to be audio engineers. They teach them how to run their own podcast. They teach them how to be journalists. They teach them a whole bunch of stuff. So I did that, and then I'm going to go talk to the kids about just like starting their own business and doing their own thing. We also just gave Berkeley High a tunnel for the football team, because my background, like, I come from football, played at Boise State.
We're going to talk about that.
We're going to talk about it. But I think it's like a big deal, like how you start the game and that energy. So we donated this money to build this tunnel for the kids to run out of, hella smoke, fireworks, all the stuff. Mm-hmm. So I think it's just like, you know, little different ways to do that.
Amazing. So besides the GOAT, Kenny Beats, this album has assists from Kehlani, from Boss, from Jay Prince, from Russ, from Sango. What were some of the qualities that they possessed that really made you want to work with them for this particular album?
I think everybody came with something different. Like, I think Kehlani, for me, she's from the same area.
A beautiful soul.
Knew she's so clean.
She's amazing.
She's just like an amazing person. But we know all of the same people, but we never like really tapped in. Like, we knew of each other because of the Bay Area music scene, and just like her voice and her lyrics and her passion are just like so crazy. So I tapped in with her, and it ended up leading to me working with her on some other stuff. And I've learned so much from her. Like, I've learned how to sing better.
Because
Kehlani,
she could sing.
She could sing.
She could sing.
No auto-tune, no nothing. She could go in there and sing. So I've learned a lot from her. With Boss, I was on tour with him, and like, he's just like lyrically one of the cleanest dudes that I've heard in a long time.
Another MVP of the year.
Right.
Ooh, my
He's
goodness.
going crazy. He be
amazing work.
He be talking crazy. So I had to get him on there, and me and Russ just connect in terms of like sonically and what we talk about and how positive our message is. It just, you know, it works like that. Jay Prince just worked out because he's Jay Prince, and we did that track while in Paris. I recorded that in Paris, and I was like, it would be dope to get him on
flex.
there. It's a light flex.
Light.
It's something light, yeah, for sure. And shout out Sango. You know, Sango is like one of my dream producers to work with. Like I've been listening to Sango since the SoundCloud days, you know, and he's really clean. So shout out Sango. Shout out everybody, because I don't want to leave anybody out. All the producers who worked on this project. It was a amalgamation of a lot of people who helped bring this together.
So what is the Rexx Life movement? Where did it derive from? What does it mean to you? I need to know. I need to know. We all need to know.
We all need to know. It started as a group of homies in high school, you know, and the Rexx was just somebody who was free and somebody who was open and somebody who was just accepting of whatever, you know, and it kind of turned into like a collective of people who just kind of like chase their passions in different avenues. So it's just like, it's about self-expression. It's about being free. It's about doing what you love. So that's what the collective is about.
Awesome. So I know being from the Bay, the Hyphy sound is huge. But you're not too hyphy. I think you combine so many different styles. Yeah. You have pop, you have dance, you have hip hop. Have you ever thought about making a hyphy kind of track or leaning towards hyphy more than you usually do?
I got some hyphy stuff out there. You know, it's kind of few and far between, but I feel like what's crazy about the Bay is that no slight to the hyphy movement, because that's what kind of like put us in the forefront and put us on. But there's so much more music in the Bay, so much more diversity in the Bay. Like we got Guapole in the Bay, Tony came from the Bay. Like it's a lot of soul and singing and passion in the Bay. And I think I'm just more from that lineage than like the hyphy lineage, even though it's in me. You know, shout out E40, shout out Mr. Fab, shout out Keek the Sneak, shout out Messy Marv, shout out the Federation. You know what I'm saying? Like we was all going dumb growing up, but there's this whole other side of just like sultry, like soul touching music, and I think I'm more with that.
Now, growing up, obviously you were around the church. Your mother was a sanger, as you said. So sanger. So why rap and not gospel and singing?
That's a good question. I don't know. You know, I feel like it comes out of me in certain songs. You know what I'm saying? It's not like I'm not that at all, you know, but it's just like it's weird because when I do music and I tell people it's almost like I'm journaling. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not really thinking about it. It's kind of like a stream of consciousness, whatever comes out. And so that is in there. But I think the labels is what makes stuff weird, you know? If that's what you get from it, then that's what you get from it. But it's just like me being pure, me being in the moment, and that's kind of what comes out. So I wouldn't, it's something, like I have songs literally called Blessings. I have a song called Blessings featuring Lecrae. You know, featuring Mozzie.
Amazing.
And like some people might call that a gospel song. I just call it music. If it's for you, it's for you. And that's kind of where I'm at.
I feel like this year, especially in music, we're deviating away from like labels and titles and genres. So I'm really glad that you said that you're just making whatever kind of music you want.
Yeah, I think that's really important. Because I feel like when you start putting labels on things, people expect certain things from you. And I think for me, at least, being an artist, I don't want you to expect anything. I just want you to experience it and take what you take from it.
Now, when you told your parents, like, I'm gonna do rap. Were they? Was there an aversion at all, or they were completely respectful of?
No, I think I have the dopest parents in the world. They're really accepting, and then plus this wasn't like an out the blue thing. You know what I'm saying? Like I've been doing this my whole life. I remember my mom used to buy me Christmas presents, and I would be like, "Yo, that's clean," and then I would go get like pots and pans from out the kitchen and make beats on them. So she ended up buying like a Casio when I was like 6 or 7.
Amazing.
And I was like, I was rapping into like the little karaoke machine with 2 tapes back in the day. Like, so this has been like a long time coming. It's nothing new. So when I talked to my mom about it, she already knew this is what it was. Like I played football in college, but it was because, you know, I just happened to be good at football. I got a scholarship offer, and I was like, I can't turn it down. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to go do that. But I always knew in the back of my mind that music was what I was going to do.
Who were some of the musicians that you grew up admiring?
Pure neo soul stuff.
Oh, so
like my favorite stuff was Music Soul Child, Erykah Badu, Jill Scott. My favorite album is Voodoo by D'Angelo.
Wow.
You like, so like, and then I grew up, so my parents had a delivery service, and I would just be in the back of the car, and we would be listening to like 102.9 KBLX, listening to like Sade, Luther Vandross, the Isley Brothers, Funkadelics. You know what I'm saying? Like that, and I think that's why melodically I'm kind of at where I'm at, because that's kind of what I listened to growing up.
Amazing. Yeah. So let's talk about this football stuff.
Let's talk about it.
He was a D1 football player.
I was a backup, though.
But still D1.
I'm just saying, it's cool. Like,
for the Boise State Broncos.
Boise State Broncos, yeah.
So I was a former athlete myself.
Oh, where'd you go to school?
No, well, I mean, I was.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay. So I was a. I was a competitive. I was a football player. But I was a competitive gymnast for 5 years. So
that's real. That's real.
I could
We
talk
would work out sometime, and the gymnast would be in the gym, and their workout regimen was way
It's like
thicker than
Navy
ours.
SEAL stuff.
It's
It really
next
is
level.
intense. But I know as an athlete, there's a certain mentality that you latch onto that you can honestly take from whatever sport you're doing to wherever you end up in life.
Right.
So what were some of the qualities psychologically, mentally, that you think that you took from football that helped you navigate the industry and survive in the industry?
I think the two main things that I got from it were just the work ethic and knowing that, like, you have to put in the work. You can't, if you want to build something stable and sustainable, there's no corners you could cut, even though it sounds really cliche. So putting in all the groundwork everywhere you need to. But I also think the biggest thing you learn from playing team sports is how to operate within a team.
Absolutely.
And I could tell, like, and it's crazy to say, but I could tell when I'm working with somebody if they came from a background of playing team sports because they know how to operate within the team. It's not about them, it's about the team. It's about making sure everybody's good, not just yourself, because you got to sacrifice yourself for the greater good. And I think that's the biggest thing I learned from football is, like, sacrificing yourself for the greater good. So
Absolutely. Discipline is a big one, too.
discipline is very big.
Especially discipline.
Discipline is self-love. That's what a lot of people don't understand. Like, being disciplined is literally self-love, because discipline is like denying yourself the pleasure right now for what's in the future, what's better for you in the future. And I feel like that's the highest form of self-love you can have.
So you're going on tour for
Yes.
Something's Out There to support the album. You're kicking off November 11th in Boston.
In Boston?
Yeah.
Is that how we say it? I've been saying Boston.
I'm from
Boston?
Jersey.
Oh, okay, I got you.
So I knew as soon as I was going to say Boston, everyone was going to be like, oh,
I'm
I found out now.
Shout out Boston.
Boston. So
Beautiful.
what are you hoping to experience this time around on tour? Because I know this isn't your first rodeo on the road.
This is actually, though, this is my first headlining tour. So I've been on
Shout
tour with a
out
bunch
you.
of people, but it's crazy going to a city and knowing that a lot of people, the majority of people came to see me. So I think my biggest thing, like, even when I'm on tour with other people, is being able to meet those people. Because music is crazy for me because it touches you in different ways. It touches you at different times in your life. It helps you get through different things. So I think for me, just like meeting those people, it just confirms that I'm doing the right thing. So being able to travel and meet those people, and it's just like, I like food a lot. And every region is like very specific to their food. You know what I'm saying? So that I could just go eat food and talk to people, like, I can't complain about too much.
What's your favorite region to get food?
Ooh, let me see. New Orleans was a film and a half.
My God.
Every restaurant in New Orleans, for sure, was crazy. Anywhere down south, because they don't care about being fat. Let's just be fat. Come on.
It's so rich.
I'm with it. Like, you
it's
start
just,
you start getting into, like, the New Yorks and the LAs and the Bays. Like, everybody's like, I'm vegan and I'm eating, this and no carbs. But, like, in North Carolina, big bust down on the barbecue, brisket, pork, fried bacon.
Yes. Mad.
Yes, I hear some yeses. Fried bacon is the fattest, most disgusting idea, but the most delicious thing you could put in your mouth. Fried Oreos. In the South, they fry everything. Come on, let's fry it. Put some butter on it, fry it, and put cheese on it, and put it in your mouth immediately.
Hearty, but so fulfilling. Like, you eat something in, like, New Orleans, and you look at it, you're like, I got this. And maybe 2 minutes in, you're like, I don't know. It's a little heavy, but it's so worth it.
I wish I could relate. I'm eating the whole thing plus. Let's run it back. I've never been like, nah, this is too much. I wish, like, I could do that, but nah.
What's your best memory from touring?
In general, period. One of my craziest memories was in North Carolina with Boss. I performed North Carolina. It was a dope set, and then he brought out J. Cole. And when I say the building erupted to the point where you couldn't even hear the lyrics did not matter. And I walked by J. Cole backstage because they had everything blocked off. Of course, it's J. Cole, so you couldn't get back there. But I happened to walk by him because I had to get my backpack. And I saw J. Cole, and you got to act like everything normal. Like, what's up, bro? Like, yeah, good to see you. Like, good to meet you. But, like, my heart was like, oh, God, that's J. Cole. You know what I'm saying?
Goodness.
But, like, yeah, it was a crazy memory.
Last question before we get to questions from the audience.
Yes.
What is the biggest takeaway from Father Figure 3 that you hope that distinguishes this particular album from your previous efforts?
For me personally, I would just want people to notice how much more, polished it is around the edges, how sonically, like, I've improved. But in terms of, like, the messaging and what they get from it, to me, that's to the person. To me, that's what art is. Like, I can't tell you what I want you to take from it. You just take what you take from it, and I think that's the beautiful part of it. So maybe just like the production is really polished, and like I'm working with doper producers who can do things better, but like what you get from the music is what you get from it.
Do you have a favorite song from the album?
It's like picking your favorite.
They're all your little babies.
I think one of my favorite songs from the album for sure is The Fog. We spent the most time on that one. It was inspired by the late, great Mac Miller. You know, I was really a big Mac Miller fan. I got this tattoo on my hand. He had the same tattoo on his hand. His was probably way more dope because he had a lot more money, so he can go to somewhere cleaner. But like, yeah, The Fog was inspired by him, and I just think his music and his legacy and who he was as a human touched me a lot. You know, so The Fog is inspired by him. It's probably my favorite song.
Amazing. So we've got one tweet.
Uh-oh.
And we got 2 audience questions, actually.
Let's do it.
So the tweet is, who were some of your favorite Bay Area rappers growing up? And do any of them influence your music today? That's from David Daffin.
Shout out David Daffin. Prado, my guy. I think it was a lot of rappers. Like Mac Dre, first and foremost, was probably like the most influential to me because what he did with words and the stories he used to tell was just like ridiculous. And like his style was so unorthodox, but it was clean. I learned so much from, of course, from E40. I've done music with E40, but he was a pioneer, too, of coming up with lingo, rhyming words in unorthodox ways, like putting things together in crazy ways, E40. I think my sleeper pick that a lot of people sleep on is Mac Mall. Like, I grew up on Mac Mall a lot. In the Bay, people don't know who Mac Mall is, but it was just a lot of people. You know, Keek the Sneak was fire coming up. The Locksmith was fire coming up. It was a lot of people, so those are the people who kind of, like, touched me the most.
Awesome. We got 2 audience questions.
Guapole, too. Guapole was fire.
Hey, so you have a lot of really fantastic collaborators on this album through producers and features, and I was wondering what's the process of figuring out who's a good fit and then reaching out to them?
For this project, it was kind of like the most consistent through line are 2 people. It's Blake Strauss, who played the guitar, and then there's Wax Roof, who kind of, I would call him like the glue of the project because he could play like every instrument. And so when the project was done, I took it to him, and that's how we made it so cohesive because he did the interludes, he did top lines and stuff. But with Blake, it was like getting in the studio with him one time because he's so clean on the guitar. And a lot of my older music is guitar driven. So getting in with and that was when people would just send me beats. So getting in with like a guitar guy who's really clean, and I'm really attracted to certain chords. Like I don't know theory, but I could feel when chords speak to me in certain ways. The chords he would play were just like so clean. So I was like, I've been on this guitar hype, and then to top it off, you're really clean with the guitar. So he was kind of like the foundation of everything else I did. And then after that, it was just tapping in with producers who I've been working with, like the Kyle Bettys, the Drew Bangers. Sango was a dream producer of mine. I reached out and he happened to like it. It was a guy named Maxwell who's really clean. Mike Gal, I've been collaborating with a lot. So I would just say Blake was kind of like this baseline, and then I was just tapping in with people to like, you know, keep the sound sonically where he was. And then after that, we took it to Wax Roof to make it really cohesive. So
that's a good question and a good answer.
Hi there. You've worked with so many amazing artists, and so I was wondering, are there any artists you haven't worked with yet that you really want to collaborate with?
So many. But like the people I want to work with usually be OGs, like they be old. I would really like to work with. I would really like to work with like Ari Lennox. I think Ari Lennox is incredible. I think she's pretty fire, and then her personality is so fire. I think we would just have fun in the studio and make dope music. But like my dream collaborations are people like Sade or Erykah Badu. You know, people like that. I would love to work with like a D'Angelo, like all the neo soul people I told you that are fire. Yeah, and producer-wise, like I would love to work with like Timbaland or something, because like when I do produce, he's like my biggest influence. But it's a million people. But I'm just down to work with people who are just dope and who are hungry like I am and who are talented, and we could put something together. So
well, never say never.
Never say never.
2020 is full of possibilities.
Come on, let's do it.
Rexx Life Raj, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you
You're
for having me.
amazing.
You guys are my first studio audience, and I just want to say this has been really clean.
Look at that!
If I have any sweat on my chest, if there's any sweat in my chest and belly area, I would like to apologize. I think it comes with the territory of lights and a white T-shirt. But
You did an amazing job.
Thank you so much.
Give it up for Rexx Life Raj, and we'll be right back. Bye.